The Big Ten is bad, but maybe the Buckeyes are that good, at least so far. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, striking up the live stream for a Monday evening, 6 o'clock Eastern time. All right. We are the voice of college football. Please like, comment, and subscribe as we are building out our platform. And the better we do, the better we can do for you in providing content each and every day. Check out the videos. If you're joining me for a first time, definitely just go hog wild in looking at the videos on the website, MarkRogersTV.com, which redirects you right to YouTube. Someday, the vision is to have a separate website, but for right now, it redirects you to YouTube. At one point, I did have a website, but it basically was a redundancy of the YouTube videos. So right now, YouTube is the place to be. MarkRogersTV.com. Get used to using that as well, as we can redirect you straight to YouTube and all the videos that we have posted there. It's like 7,000 or 8,000 videos on college football. We're here every day talking college football. And in the aftermath of week 3, that meant presenting our top 25, the top 25 that makes sense. And I will talk a little bit more about that in just a second. It's also the bottom 10. Which we provided for the first time. I don't know if that's going to be a weekly spot in evaluating the bottom 10. And you got to take it tongue-in-cheek. Those aren't the 10 worst teams in the country. And I actually reserved the spot for the underachieving Big Ten and for 4 really awful Conference USA teams. So it wasn't even 10 teams exactly. So it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Is Florida State one of the 10 worst teams in the country? Well, they're sure playing like it. They're not, though. They're not one of the 10 worst teams out of 130 in the nation. So you got to take it as it's having a little bit of fun. Let you know, this is a disaster here and a disaster there. Lincoln, Tallahassee, and elsewhere. That's what it looks like right now. The bottom 10. So again, let me know if that's interesting to you, funny, intriguing, whatever. I've gotten a couple nice comments back about the bottom 10 release earlier today. And of course, we will always bring you our top 25, the top 25 that makes sense. And unless I get a ton of phone calls, I'm going to be referring to some comments, both supporting my top 25 and also dissing my top 25. But I just want to make sure that it's clear what I'm trying to achieve here. And you don't have to agree with the top 25, but I at least want it to be very clear how we're rating these teams. A lot of people don't seem to understand the concept. All right, my third newsletter, the third edition, went out this afternoon. Hopefully, if you're signed up, you received it. If there was some type of issue, certainly let me know. If you did not receive our third week newsletter this afternoon, just a few hours ago, the voice of college football. So please subscribe to the newsletter. Sign up for it. All you have to do is send your email address to me at MarkRogersTV@gmail.com. I will not clutter up your inbox. There's going to be one mailing per week, and it's going to provide you with stats, trends, facts that you're not going to see anywhere else. Not that these statistics and these facts cannot be found anywhere else, but I pull them all together from my reading online, from watching the games all day on Saturday. I pull together all sorts of stats and trends and facts and interesting tidbits from the week that was. And I pull all those together for you. I basically, for as late as I'm on with the instant analysis on Saturday night, throughout the day when I catch a chance here and there, which basically is watching college football 3 and 4 games at a time. And then at the end of the day at 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, I try to read as many recaps of all the games, especially the games I didn't get a chance to see. And I'll look at the recaps, look at the stats, and I'll pick out a number of the fun facts that you see on the Voice of College Football each and every Monday. So again, sign up for the newsletter by sending your email address to mine, MarkRogersTV@gmail.com. All right. Also included in these videos, you're going to see down in the description section 3 links from Amazon. Choose any one of those links. This is vital. This will help out this platform immensely. Without some of these initiatives, Mark Rogers TV would not exist and will not exist at some point. But we have faith, we have confidence that we will be able to provide even better content in the future, better production. We will look into production software. We will look into upgrading the performance and the look, the aesthetics, the content, everything that we provide now, doing it much better in a much better fashion going forward. I believe we've got a call coming in because we all are, of course, taking calls today. Number is 860-325-3687. Let's see who's on the line. Hey, it's Mark Rogers TV, voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Hey, Mark. It's George in Oregon.
Hey, George. George in Oregon. George, why are you not an Oregon fan?
Mark.
Hey, George. You there? Oh, we lost George. George, call back. 860-325-3687. There's George. He's calling us back. Hopefully we've got George this time. Hey, George, are you with me?
Hey, man, what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing just fine.
I rearrange my whole day. When you make a video, when I find it, I stop everything. I sequester myself.
Stop everything. I'm giving it one of those Fred Sanford looks right now. I don't know if you can see me right now, but I am astounded.
You know what? I figured it out. I can watch you on my phone while I talk to you. I'm not doing it right now, but this technology is amazing. I'm 58 years old. I'm like, whoa.
George, what's funny is I think everybody's heard this at some point here recently, but at the point that it was communicated to me, or I read a story in which it was outlined that we have more technology in our hand with an iPhone than they had to launch the first rocket to the moon.
Right.
It's amazing.
Hey, I was alive. I was born in 1960. I watched this with my eyeballs. I saw it occur. I watched it. When I was 11 years old,
yeah,
they introduced this shit, and there was a computer lab. And I knew if I went in that room, like I would advance and be famous or whatever. It was coding, you know, in 71.
Yeah.
Imagine that shit.
It's amazing. It's amazing stuff. Yeah.
Hey, so what do you think about Florida, Tennessee? Can you make a pick on that?
I'm going to make a pick on that right now.
I'm asking you, could you pick that game?
Where are they playing the game? Let's see. I'm trying to think. Yeah, they flip-flop. Yeah, they flip back and forth. No, I don't need to flip a coin. I can give you a preliminary pick, but you're not going to hold me to it because I'm going to pick the game later in the week. Right now, Florida's a better...
I already took Florida. I don't care what you say. I just want to know what you think.
Well, they're a better team. Yes, Florida's a better team than Tennessee. It would not shock me because of their limitations on offense that Florida might struggle and Tennessee could pull off an upset. But yeah, Florida's a team that's 10 to 13 points better than Tennessee. They should win the game by 2 scores.
All right, how about Wisconsin, Iowa?
That's going to be a great game. I can't wait to watch that game. I'm going to be locked in on that one. Wisconsin and Iowa.
I picked Wisconsin on a betting poll. I picked Florida and Wisconsin. You think Wisconsin can pull it off?
Do you have to bet these games against the line?
It's already picked. Florida, Wisconsin, Stanford against Oregon, and Florida Atlantic against USF.
Sure, but do you have to pick it against the point spread?
No.
Okay. Wisconsin has to play at Iowa.
It's easy. It's elementary. It's easy. It's no point spread.
Okay. All right. I hit the
Florida over Tennessee, Wisconsin over Iowa.
I'm going to think about taking Iowa. I'm going to think about taking Iowa. I'm not right this second. Despite what we watched last week with BYU going to Wisconsin, Wisconsin still has a better roster than Iowa. Yes, they do.
But it's a scary game.
Oh, it's a scary game. Yeah, Wisconsin, obviously Iowa beat Ohio State, crushed Ohio State there last year, and they took Penn State down to the last play of the game. They play really well there at home.
Yeah.
And so who do you have in the Oregon-Stanford game?
Stanford.
Okay.
It's you know what? I think Oregon will beat Washington and Utah. Maybe not Utah. I don't know, but I think Oregon will be right up there. They're going to win a lot of games, but I think they might lose to Stanford and one other game.
It's odd. I
think they'll beat Washington. You follow me?
Oh, I follow you.
Yeah, Oregon's good.
It's odd that you're asking me for these.
Stanford looked good too.
Yeah, they've looked really good. It's odd that you're asking me for these predictions only because I make the predictions really late in the week typically. But I had a website ask me to make predictions today. So
I have some serious shit going on here. My kid works at Coca-Cola and they have an official betting pool.
Yeah.
And Uncle Lou picked 52 games for me in 10 minutes on one of his call-ins one night.
Sure.
And that's what I'm going by. These games have been picked. You have to bet 30 games before the beginning of the season. There's only like a $2,800 pool, but the guy that wins the most games gets 40% of the money. It's funny as shit, you know. It's just fun, just for fun, you know.
Okay, I'll let you know this. I picked the game straight for the first 3 weeks of the season, like I always do. I'm 60-12.
That's incredible. I've never heard that number before.
Well, it's not that incredible. That's 60-12 straight up. I'm 34-24 against the spread. I just had a nice week at 16-6 against the spread.
You have to be careful, Mark. Somebody from Las Vegas will kidnap you and hold you in a cage to predict games.
Well, it was funny because I don't know if you heard the guy that called me from Manhattan on before the game.
Yes, I did.
So,
Best show ever. Best show ever.
Oh, well, thank you.
I saw that. That man had a live feed. I could see his face. That was awesome. I don't know how you pulled that off, but keep going.
Well, no. Well, the deal is that I sent the link to my media contributors through an email, and then I also sent it on Twitter, but it was just for like media people to jump on that usually join me talking about their teams, but he saw it and he grabbed it.
I actually saw that.
So
the whole thing you're saying, I saw that.
Well,
it
was funny.
Incredible.
It was funny for the first 30 seconds. I'm thinking, who is this guy? I'm supposed to know who this guy is. Who is he? So anyway, the point I was going to make in regards to the predictions was this guy said that he's making a boatload of money. Basically, what he does is he takes his predictions and then he matches them with mine. And if we agree on a game, he said we're over 80% against the spread. So he said he's killing it.
Yeah.
So
that leaves a lot of wiggle room. 80%. You can afford to lose a game or two.
Absolutely.
That's beyond comprehension.
You have to hit about 53% against the spread in Vegas to win money. That's the number. That's the threshold. 53%.
If you could keep that up, that would be. I would just stop right there. Go play roulette or craps.
Well, I love picking football games.
All right. After Stanford plays Oregon, they play Notre Dame the next week.
Yeah, they do.
How does that factor in?
How does it factor in? Well, that's going to be an enormous game. I'm thinking, again, it's kind of similar to the other two games we talked about, that Stanford is the better team than Oregon. Over the course of 12 games, they're better. But the better team doesn't always win, and they got to go to Autzen, and this is Oregon's first real test. I think they're going to be amped up for this game, and I can see the Ducks pulling off an upset at home at night against Stanford. Stanford doesn't run away from teams either. It's going to be a close game. It's not like they put the throttle down. They don't have those kind of athletes to run away with that game.
Stanford's coach now?
David Shaw.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but who is it?
David Shaw. Stanford's coach?
Damn, never mind. Let's move on.
Yeah, if you're putting me on the spot, George, can you hear me?
Mark.
Hey, George, can you hear me? What happened here? George, you there? Uh-oh. We can hear George. He can't hear us. I don't know what the problem with the phone is. I think that's my issue.
Mississippi State next.
Florida, Mississippi State. I know you're looking forward to that game. That was one you were talking about in the offseason. Okay, I think we lost George. George, call back if you'd like to. Anybody else, give us a call at 860-325-3687. What's difficult about these phone lines and the way I've got it set up here, and until I'm able to do it professionally the way I should be doing it, is I'm talking, I'm in the middle of a topic, you guys call, I got to answer the phone and take the call. I can't relay that to my producer who puts you on hold until I finish my thought, and then we take the call. So bear with us. So I got my top 25 that makes sense. That's out. And I know that you guys have a lot of thoughts about the top 25. So I have those people that are saying, Mark, you're crazy. What is this? You've got teams ranked way ahead of these teams, and we know that Alabama's the best, and we know this other team's not that good. I'm basing it on the resume, and it will course correct itself. Alabama will make it to the top of the list if they are truly the best team once they play out the schedule. It will course correct itself. Do you understand what I'm doing? I'm taking the resume. I had a South Florida guy going crazy on me today because he's like, South Florida, they belong in the top 25. I said, well, first of all, they don't belong in the top 25. Not that I'm promoting my system as the system, the best system. It's imperfect, just like the rest of them, but at least it makes sense. At least it's based on a resume. We're not just saying, okay, Clemson out of the gate, they beat Furman, they're number 2 in the country. No, they wouldn't be number 2 in the country just based on their resume. At that point, I had Clemson down at 18th or 19th. Then they beat Texas A&M on the road. Okay, let's measure this victory. What does it mean? Okay, they won another game. They're 3-0. Okay, they've moved up the rank. Basically, what happened in Clemson to move them up the rankings, my rankings, is other teams lost to knock them off. Clemson hasn't really done anything special to vault them up the rankings, but other teams lost to drop them. And so I base it on wins and losses. And then who are the opponents, obviously, in these wins and losses? And what's the performance on the field? If Alabama right now was 3-0, and they had beaten Louisville by a field goal and Ole Miss by a field goal and beat Arkansas State by 3 touchdowns, I wouldn't have them ranked that high. Even if we all thought Alabama's the best and they should be ranked in the top 3 in the country or top 1 in the country, but they are purely just out of control and dominance right now. They could have scored 80 points against Louisville and Ole Miss if they wanted to. If they would have left Tua in the game and kept throwing the ball, and I'm not talking about just going for the jugular, just embarrassing them, but just running their offense. If they just ran their offense in the second half against Louisville and Ole Miss, Bama would have scored 80 points in both of those games. They put in Jalen. They ran that offense, which is completely different. And I had a site ask me to preview and predict 3 games, any 3 games, because they're going to place this on their site, these segments. And so I chose Stanford, Oregon, TCU, Texas, and Alabama, Texas A&M. And I was making the comparison in the video as soon as I cut it, the notes I took. Tua versus Jalen. They're 2 completely different offenses. What we've seen over the last couple of years with Jalen in play was an Alabama offense that could complement the defense by running the ball using that stable of running backs, but was very limited in the passing game. He would take his shots from time to time, and if one of his 5-star wide receivers could pull it down, great, but he was not threatening a defense. He could not make the NFL throws. He couldn't make the decisions. He was looking for one guy and then, boom, taking off and running. This offense, this Alabama offense, with a dominant offensive line, with the stable of the best running backs in the nation. They have the best stable of running backs in the nation and 5 stars at wideout. These wideouts are loving this because they can now look for the football and catch it in stride. They can look for the football and it's going to be placed where it needs to be placed, whether it's in stride or over a back shoulder properly. The ball's on time. It's out. It's thrown well. It's not difficult to catch. Tua has made a completely different product out of this Alabama offense. They lead the nation with 57 points per game. And yes, they have not played a good defense. Ole Miss is awful on defense. And Louisville's not much better, but other teams are not going to score at will against Louisville and Ole Miss. Alabama's that good. So anyway, check out the top 25 and let me know what you think of it. But keep in mind, I'm not projecting. I'm not making a projection for the end of the season. I don't think that LSU is better than Alabama, but LSU has earned the ranking that they have in my ranking, which is number 1 in the country. They have the 2 best wins in the country for one team. Miami neutral site at Auburn. Those are the 2 best wins in the country. They're number 1. And then I proceed from there. And again, you guys, some of you have made like ridiculous claims and stupid logic. Many of you, the typical people that I refer to on a regular basis, you guys have made logical arguments and chinked away at my system. Now that I can deal with, because you guys have made some good plays to say, hey, why is that team not above that team? And it's made sense. And I've understood. I've even thought, okay, I can see that. I'm not saying that this system is perfect, but it's at least logical. It's based on the resume. Let's go to the chat. And again, hope you guys enjoyed the bottom 10. That was just a fun thing. That's not specifically the 10 worst teams in the country. That's kind of the 10 most egregious, embarrassing performances in the country thus far. That's really what it is. It's the top 10 embarrassments. It's the bottom 10 of embarrassment in the country. Not the worst 10 teams. Nebraska is not one of the 10 worst teams in the country. Although Navy Thomas may think that at this point, the way they're looking. My computer fell asleep, so I got to pull up the live chat. Here we go. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. If you enjoy the audio, or anyone you know doesn't have time to watch videos like you do or watch live streams, go to the audio, or let your family and friends know about the audio. That's an option as well at Mark Rogers TV. Just go to Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. Just search Mark Rogers TV and you can find the audio right there. All right. I love seeing new names on the live chat. I love seeing the core, of course, but I like to see some new names. JMD, I've yet to see your name on any of the comments, so welcome to Mark Rogers TV, and you're making a ton of comments. If we get pressure on Trace, this game could turn ugly for the Nittany Lions. We got Penn State. Are we talking about Ohio State? I would think, not Illinois on Friday night, right? Not the Illini. I actually was watching the Big Ten Network this afternoon. I got a chance to see Scott Frost's news conference, Chris Ash of Rutgers after that complete embarrassment against Kansas. Losing to Kansas is one thing, and that's an embarrassment. Losing 55-14 to Kansas. David Beatty saving his job. All right, Julian Smith, I've yet to see you as well on the live chat or any comments on Mark Rogers TV. Welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Good to see you. The classic trap game cause Georgia will look forward to Jacksonville, Florida, and the Gators rivalry LSU will beat Georgia in Baton Rouge. All right, so Georgia's got Mizzou on the road in Columbia, so Julian Smith thinks that's a trap game. Penn State, Ohio State will be a classic. Colton. Buckeye State sports this week sucks. How the hell am I supposed to trash talk Tulane? You can't. Just let it go. You can savor the TCU victory and search the internet for TCU people who have been trash talking the Buckeyes all off season and just continue to have fun from that game. NCIS Fanatic 21, I think we can beat Penn State. Okay. A green wave. It's a great thought. Google that. Green wave. Where'd that come from? You got Tulane. They're in New Orleans. I understand the proximity to the water. So the water reference is fine. The wave, the green wave. It kind of lets us know that there's not necessarily the purest of water down there on the bayou. Sounds a little toxic. The green wave. Colton agrees with my lists. Thanks, Colton. I don't have my top 25 in front of me. I would have to play the video to watch it. I don't know what I did with the actual list of top 25 teams. JMD, I think we can beat Mississippi State. That must be Michigan State and Harbaugh, too. Colton would put Tennessee in the bottom 10. Not really. Colton, they're 2-1. And I know I've got some other teams at 2-1. Trying to think anybody else at 2-1 in my bottom 10. But for Tennessee, they're 2-1. And we all expected them to lose to West Virginia. They were a 10-point underdog in that game. Yeah, they didn't look good. They got blown out in the second half, but it was a close game for one half. They've taken care of business against UTEP and whoever else they played. So if they would have beaten UTEP this week, 24-21, yeah. But they handled UTEP. So I'm not going to place Tennessee there. This is the embarrassing list. There is something to be embarrassed by for all those teams. And for SMU at number 10, they were not necessarily the best selection to start it out in terms of embarrassment. They lost to TCU and Michigan, and expectedly there, but they lost to somebody really, really bad underneath them. Somebody in the FCS level in week 1. Zoom play. Good evening, bro. I love that you love the show. Thanks for the love. We appreciate it. Gables Kane Frank, who left one of the best messages recently. More than a quick hitter, boy. He went into detail in terms of liking the channel and what we're doing here. Appreciate that. Mark, it heard one time that if you pick the underdog on each game and took the points, you would have been in the money 33 out of the last 35 years. So you heard, okay. Okay, if you took the underdog in every game. Okay, I don't know. JMD is talking more Buckeyes, Purdue, a trap game on the road. App State almost beat Penn State. Of course, Penn State is beatable. Got another call coming in. Here we go. The call will start at the beep. Mark Rogers TV. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Mark, it's George in Oregon.
George, do you root for Oregon?
Listen, I don't root against Oregon or Oregon State, and there's reasons for that. Okay. Not like normal people. There's specific reasons based on betting averages and against the point spread things, you know.
You don't root for or against Oregon?
I'm not for. Listen.
How long have you lived out there?
Mark, compile a list of the best teams against the point spread. Who cares who's number 1 in the AP poll? You know?
I don't know who those teams are that are best against the point spread.
Well, who's number 1 against the point spread?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
I don't know. I'd have to do some research. I've got all the games. This is what I do every year is I list out each week and I run through the games and I keep track of my record. So all I'd have to do is go through. But I threw out last year's. I used to keep all this stuff, but it's like, yeah, I can't keep this crap around. So I got rid of it.
I know I'm good. I know I'm good against head-and-head matchups without a point spread, but against the point spread all time, I don't know what the rankings are, you know?
Well, I did hear one stat during the off season that, and this makes sense, that Kansas State has historically been one of the best teams against the point spread, if not the best, because they're usually underrated, undervalued, and then they go 8-4, but they were the underdog in like 8 of the games, and therefore they are one of the best teams against the point spread.
Hey, I've seen this happen several times in my life where I always bet for a certain team against the point spread and won, you know? And they lost every game. Like Seattle did it once. They lost like 13 games and I won 10 of them against the point spread, you know?
Yeah, like the Cleveland Browns could lose every game, but lose it close. And
it's just like playing craps. When you go up to a craps table, you can bet against the dice, you know?
Well,
and if you do, you're betting with a casino, and the casino always wins. It's not a bad start, you know?
Yeah. If you're just picking the game straight up, obviously a lot of them are gimmies. You look at a team like Ohio State, 9 of those games are locked we know Ohio State's going to win 9 of those games. The other 3, the other teams up to the challenge, and it's going to be a game. So we really only have to pick 3 games. The other ones are gimmies. So you better pick almost all the Ohio State games, and a team like that, Alabama, Clemson, etc., all those right. But the point spread, that evens out the playing field. So suddenly you got to determine, is Ohio State going to beat Rutgers by 40 points or more? Well, that's the big challenge.
It all becomes about scenarios. You have to picture the scenario, like how's this game going to go? What do you think will happen?
Yeah.
Because it's a long and involved process.
So
all I really care about is Florida, Tennessee this week. I mean, let's overanalyze this game. Like, pretend you spent like 80 hours thinking about it. What do you think?
All right, this is what I think.
Florida, Tennessee, and it's important to me because I'm a Gator.
I know it is.
I always expect to win,
I have seen neither team play this year. I saw Tennessee play a little bit against West Virginia, and they got outclassed. But Florida does not have the guy at the quarterback position to take advantage of that defense like West Virginia does. Now, they do have the wide receivers that are at least as good as West Virginia's. So if you can get your quarterback to play, and that's why what you were talking about the other night with the selection of possibly getting Trask some time, Emory Jones, there needs to be a decision made as to whether those guys that have more upside, especially Emory Jones, are capable of playing, or are they going to suffer with Felipe Franks and kind of be a Jalen Hurts strapped offense this year? Are they going to play it that way and play it safe and go 8-4 or 7-5? Or do you cut the kid loose and let him play?
Here's how I overanalyze it. You have a friend, and he wins the lottery, and he gives you the keys to his Ferrari. That's where Dan Mullen is. He has the keys to the Florida Gators, and he's a good quarterback coach. He's proven that. Can't deny that. He's not Jim McElwain. He never rode a shark naked, But I'm just going to hope for the best. I'm just going to hope that he can get inside Felipe Franks' head, or Kyle Trask's head, or Emory Jones' heads, or all 3 of their heads, because without a great quarterback, you can't beat anybody. I don't care what your name is.
Not in that league.
Not in that league. Whatever, not in the MAC, you might be able to do it without a great quarterback, but not in any other league.
George, if you remember when McElwain showed up, that was his MO. He had run the Alabama offense. They obviously won championships. He went to Colorado State. He was supposed to be a quarterback whisperer as well. So we all trusted that Jim McElwain knows what he's talking about. So number one, he's going to be able to select the best quarterback out of the 3 or 4 options. Number 2, he's going to be able to develop them, and he never could.
Well, come on. When he came in, it was late. Franks was the best he could possibly get. And then he got Trask. He's a good old country boy. And then Mullen got Jones. We have 3 NFL quarterbacks on the roster,
You've got 3 NFL quarterbacks on your roster right now?
Every quarterback on Florida's roster will play in the NFL.
You think Franks is going to play in the NFL?
I guarantee it.
Really? As a quarterback?
I'll bet you $5. Whatever. He has 2 more years with Dan Mullen, and Mullen likes him. He thinks he loves this motherfucker. He's like, this is better than Dak Prescott and Fitzgerald rolled into wood. It's like, he's a monster, Felipe Franks. He just needs to change the attitude. And Mullen openly talks about it at press conferences, I love it. It's so hilarious. Because the guy's a giant. And you know what? Kyle Trask is a giant too. And Emory Jones is a giant too. Look at any of their tape. They're all giants. They're all like 6'4" and run like the wind,
Well, I haven't seen Frank
for the rest of this season.
Well, I haven't seen Trask play except for the spring game. Now, Franks, I saw him a few times last year. I watch the big games, so I'm going to see Florida, Tennessee play, and I'm going to see Florida play Georgia, and I'm going to see you play LSU. I'll see the good games.
Our guys are all giants. When our quarterbacks die, the Smithsonian Institute will steal their bones and hide them. They're giants, all of them. They can throw the ball 80 yards. We will stretch every defense and run all we want all year long.
Well, Frank showed off his arm against Tennessee last year. That thing was a missile.
Yeah. Well, come on. It's a given. It's a given. We got a field goal kicker that can kick 60-yard field goals, and we got a quarterback that can throw the ball 60 yards, you know? So it's a 60-yard game every play.
So you took in this Kentucky game, and I hate to bring it up because obviously you lost to Kentucky. So what didn't
I don't mind.
What did you not get done in that game? What did you see there that causes concern?
I think, listen, it was a very peculiar game, if you notice the play calling. And Dan Mullen, he's been around long enough that he can do whatever he wants to. They just study the game. He was just proving a point. He did it on purpose, and there's nothing wrong with it. You know, he just wanted to show, like, what if I throw 34 times a game, you know? And if Felipe needed that practice, he needed it because we got some serious hardcore football games coming up. He needed to let Felipe throw 30, 40 times, you know, like you just got to do it in a real game, real time, 2 seconds, 1 second to choose who to pass to. We needed the practice, and we lost, so who cares? It didn't hurt our season. We'll be 14-1 when we beat Clemson, like I told you.
Okay. You were shaking a little bit off of that prediction. You were a little hesitant right after the Kentucky loss. You kind of backed off on that. But now you're feeling good again.
The reason for that is, Mark, now the Gator Nation, every week when we win, we go, thank God. And we hope we win. But before, we used to know we were going to win. So that's the difference. And now we just hope. Before, we used to know. So it's going to take a year to get our faith back. And I'm hurting a little bit, you know?
All right, George. I'm going to analyze some of these other games and give some people the opportunity to call in if they'd like. We're going to be around for about 20, 25 more minutes, something in that range.
All right. All right. Can I just ask you one question out of the blue?
Of course you can.
Miami, Virginia Tech, week 12. Who are you picking?
Well, again, I was just telling you a second ago, George, that it's tough for me to pick games on Monday, the week of the game, let alone 2 months in advance. Virginia Tech and Miami.
Listen, I'm a nobody, and I'm taking Virginia Tech.
Okay, if they played tomorrow, if they were playing this week, I would say Virginia Tech's going to win that game. Okay? Based on what I've seen thus far. Right. They've both played.
Nothing against Miami. I'm just so proud of Virginia Tech right now. I can't even control myself.
You're proud of them.
Go Virginia Tech.
Okay.
Wasn't that a fantastic opening day?
It was. Now we're starting to rethink how impressive it was, though. Florida State's been trash for 3 weeks.
All right, one last question, and I'll never ask you another question. What's up with the backpack?
What's up with what backpack? What backpack are we looking at?
At Florida State, every time they get an interception.
Oh, with a that backpack.
What's going on?
Well, everybody's got to come up with something now. Everybody's see, I would have a little bit too much pride in my football program to be going to copy somebody else.
Joy backpack?
Now, well, I wouldn't copy that whole turnover chain at all. I'd say, boys, let's come up with something unique. Let's do something else that doesn't make it look like we're copying all these other teams. It's like alternate uniforms. You don't see
Mark.
Yeah.
Mark, listen to me. I'm 58 years old. Some people my age don't even know how to use a phone. You know what I'm saying?
I know they don't. I'm not that far behind you.
So listen. I only use Twitter for one thing, and that's the Florida Gator football team. I can talk to any player I want to talk to on Twitter. You follow me?
I do.
And when Miami got a chain, I texted those guys or Twittered them. And I said, please don't ever do that. Like, how shameful is that? Like, you get a reward. Like, you're a businessman. Do your job. Are you kidding me? What a joke. We don't need a gimmick. We're DBU. That's good enough right there, you know? Like, I don't need a chain.
All right, sir.
And then Florida State got a backpack. And and then somebody else got a belt. Alabama got a belt.
I know it. It's a little too much for me. If you're the originator of that, have fun. If you're the originator of that, have fun and do it, but don't be a copycat and don't copy what else somebody else is doing. George, we got
Gators. No. One last thing. I told them if you do anything, hand them a cell phone where their mom and dad's calling to say congratulations.
All right. Very good.
All right, later.
All right, George. Have a good one.
I'll let you go. Sorry.
Thanks, George. All right. Just want to make sure that we're not talking Florida Gators for 3 hours. I wouldn't mind talking Florida Gators for 3 hours if I was doing a 16-hour show. But we got Ohio State fans on the line. We've got Nebraska fans on the line. We've got Iowa fans. We got Ricky on the line on the chat room. So we want to go through all these games. Not that we won't have time on Wednesday and Thursday night in particular, and I might be on here tomorrow night. Who knows? I do that at times, but certainly I'll be here Wednesday and Thursday at 7 o'clock Eastern time, which leads me to my schedule, which I typically have a long list of guests throughout the week. This week, no. You're hearing from me. And that's probably what it's going to be more than anything going forward. You hearing from me and me hearing from you and us talking college football. I love having the guests, and they can jump on the live stream. I'm going to leave this live stream out there for my media guests to jump on. And if they want to talk their team, their game for the week, that's great. But I'm wasting way too much time with emails back and forth, trying to coordinate times with people, going on and on and on and on. They can just jump on the live stream and talk their team. Otherwise, we will do this all the time, talking college football. And I won't be spending my day trading emails and chasing people down. All right. So here's my thought. The 3 games that I looked at specifically today: Alabama, Texas A&M, Stanford, Oregon, and TCU in Texas. My thoughts about the Tide is just what I started talking about a few minutes ago, that Tua's presence has transformed this offense. The defense is what it always is. It's dominant. Look at what they accomplished against Jordan Ta'amu and an elite one receiver, really good receiving core. Alabama got hit for a 75-yard bomb. Play number 1, DeMarcus Hodge, I believe, brought that in. 75-yard touchdown. Ole Miss is up 7-0. Vaught Hemingway Stadium's going nuts. They think they're going to pull off an upset, and they're delusional. And that was it. That got Bama mad on defense, and they gave up absolutely nothing. And this Ole Miss passing offense is one of the best in the SEC, and they're going to score 35, 40, 45 points against most teams that they play. They'll even hit up the LSUs and the Auburns for 20, 25, 30 points. But against Bama, a 75-yard touchdown pass on the first play of the game, and that's it. Done. You're done. We're not giving up anything else. You made us mad. We're focused now. Hope you enjoyed that. Celebrate in the end zone. You're done. That's how good Alabama's defense is. And now with 2 on the field on the offense, it's a completely different deal for the Alabama offense that's averaging 57 points per game. And that's with the offense in cruise control in the second half. All right. Texas A&M, I believe, is going to be a different program under Jimbo Fisher, but I don't know how that's going to be reflected in wins and losses going forward, because 8-5 to get from 8-5 to 11-2 in that league is going to take some serious lifting against some really good teams. And this team's not quite capable. They were up for the Clemson game. They were at home. They were energized by the crowd, and they played out of their minds. And specifically, Kellen Mond played out of his mind in the second half. He's never done that before against a great team. So Kellen Mond's going to have to play out of his mind again. They're going to have to get something out of Travion Williams, but he only ran for 1.8 yards per carry against Clemson. He'll probably have that kind of production against Alabama, or lack thereof. They're going to need Mond to play out of his mind. The receivers were winning 50-50 jump balls against Clemson. They were playing great. They were just on a roll. They were just on a momentum roll against Clemson, not to discredit their performance, but that was at home. For them to duplicate that performance on the road at Tuscaloosa is a large, large ask. Bama wins that thing something like 45-17. All right. I looked at TCU in Texas. these teams are coming off very emotional efforts in which they expended a lot of energy, a lot of focus, a lot of attention. Of course, Texas is coming off the big high of scoring 34 straight unanswered points and coming back from 14-3 down against USC to win. TCU is coming off the disappointment of going up 8 against Ohio State, blowing the game in the final 15 to 20 minutes of game time and losing to the Buckeyes, getting outscored 27-7 down the stretch. So what I like about TCU is Gary Patterson is one of the best coaches in the country. He's going to lift these kids back up and get them ready to play. TCU has a much better running game with Darius Anderson. Texas's running game is still marginal. The offensive line is still an issue. TCU has that speed in space, the quickness that we saw against an elite defense still make explosive plays. TCU showed me something with Sean Robinson playing well in a clutch situation. Yes, he threw 2 interceptions, but the one was with a guy in his lap and basically dumping the ball off to Draymond Jones, who ran it all the way for a touchdown. The other one was with 2 minutes left in the game. They're down 2 scores. He's just got to chuck it down the field, and he threw a pick. Sean Robinson was basically stellar against Ohio State. He played really well in that game. So Sean Robinson has finally played against a big opponent in a big spot, and he performed well. Sam Ehlinger hit on some big pass plays, but he still only hit on 15 of 33 passes against USC. He is too inconsistent. They also don't have a running game. What Texas does have that's somewhat similar to Ohio State is talent in the front 7, not comparable to Ohio State in terms of production at this point, but they have the talent in the front 7 to make disruptive plays like Ohio State's defensive line that basically won the game in manhandling TCU on a handful of plays that completely blew up the offense. Texas could do that. But I'll take Patterson. I'll take the TCU running game that's more consistent. I'll take the better quarterback, even though they've got to go on the road and they've got to come back from a letdown against the Buckeyes on the road, where Texas is coming back from an emotional high, but they've got the crowd support. That all said, it's going to be a really good game. I like TCU to win 27-24. These are my early picks, and the only reason I'm making them is because I had a website contact me and want to post some of my videos and have me produce specific videos for them. And so I had to look at the games today. Oregon, Stanford. Stanford is the better team over the course of a season. Over the course of 12 games, Stanford is the better team. But Oregon's got an elite defensive coordinator in Jim Leavitt. They have an elite quarterback in Justin Herbert. They have just enough playmakers on offense to make it interesting. They have 4 or 5 elite defensive players like Troy Dye and especially Jalen Jelks. They have those kind of playmakers on defense. Now, they can't stand to have injuries on defense. They're thin, but Oregon's explosive on defense, and they've got a great coordinator. They're at home at night, Saturday night. Justin Herbert is going to face a Stanford defense that's playing extremely well. They've only given up 23 points in 3 games, but that was to San Diego State and an FCS team in UC Davis, and that was against a true freshman quarterback in JT Daniels making his first road start. That was not against Justin Herbert, a future top 10 pick in the NFL draft next year. JT Daniels maybe in 3 years. Justin Herbert now top 10 NFL pick. I kind of like all those factors going Oregon's way. All right. How the heck did Kansas score more points against Rutgers than we did? I was talking to an actual Kansas fan last night. You may not know that they actually exist, a Kansas football fan. And I pointed that out to him, and he thought for a second, and he said, yeah, wow, we did. Now, I said, let's understand that when I looked at the Ohio State box score, I had to scroll down the page to see all the guys that carried the football for the Buckeyes. They were basically, picking guys out of the stands to run the ball. So the 52 points by the Buckeyes was kind of like Alabama scoring 51 and 62 against Ole Miss. They could have scored a whole bunch more. Bama boys on the line. Good to see you. Richard Neal, who has joined us recently on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Richard, it's good to see you. Mississippi State, go State. It's got to be about time for you guys to jump into SEC play. Who does Mississippi State play this week? I don't know off the top of my head. Kentucky, right? Wildcats and the Bulldogs. We will have to talk about that. Jant 716, good to see you. All right. If you are catching us for the first time, whether that be on the live stream right now or on the replay, this is Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We bring you college football discussion, debate, and analysis like nobody else each and every day. Please check out the links that we provide in the description section below, the Amazon links, and do your shopping there. And if you don't do any shopping like me, I don't shop. I don't shop online unless it's Christmas time. But if your significant other is the shopper in the household, we know what that's like, then please have them enter Amazon through one of those links. That's all I ask. You can buy whatever you want. Do your regular shopping. You don't have to buy the products that are displayed there. Just use the links. That will help out our platform. I think for those of you that have been around a while watching me, you got a glimpse of the vision. You understand where we want to take this. We want this to be every day, all the time. We want contributors all over the place. I would like to have a college football show throughout the day on Saturday and be able to say, let's go to our guy at Florida State. Let's go to our guy at Nebraska. It's kind of funny that I pick out two of the big disappointments there. Let's go to our guy in Clemson. Let's go to our guy at Memphis, and let's get a report. We've got a big vision. Big visions take money, and take money to have me throw off other responsibilities. That's the vision. Maybe someday I'll do a live stream, and NCIS Fanatic 21, he seems to be interested in listening to this. We throw up the live stream in the off season, and we just have a channel discussion. What is going to make this channel stand out as the best college football channel? Because it's not going to be just me. I'm going to need your help. People aren't going to, this isn't going to be the best channel because I'm the best college football analyst and commentator. That's going to have to be a lot of it. I can't be a moron. We can't have a moron sitting up here who knows nothing about college football. So I've got to do my job and be on top of the information and present it the best way. And hopefully I've got the skills to do that. I believe I do. And but it's you guys that make the channel with what's going on right here in the live chat right now, with the comments that you make to me, with the phone calls. 860-325-3687, 860-325-3687. And so, NCIS Fanatic 21 has made a number of interesting suggestions to me over the many months. Maybe it's years now. And yes, during the off season, we should just have a big channel discussion. And I have certainly taken down all of your suggestions, and I have responded to them, whether you know it or not, either in regards to just doing exactly what you're asking me to do, or saying, okay, that's an off-season project. We will look at that. We will do that. I'm going to rank all the programs in college football. I'm going to rank the top 10 or top 25 programs and give that a criteria and rank them. People have asked me to do that over and over and over and over, but we're not going to do that during the season. New title for the newsletter: Mark Rogers TV Moron Newsletter. Yeah. Terrion McCreet. I hope I pronounced your first name correctly and your last name correctly. Mark, what do you think about the Bama game this weekend? Hopefully, Terrion, you were around just like 3 minutes ago because I was telling you exactly what I thought of the Bama game this weekend. I gave you a breakdown of Kellen Mond, Travion Williams, the Texas A&M wideouts, Bama's new offense under Tua, and how it's so much different than the Bama offense with Hurts at quarterback, and all of it. So as soon as we're done talking here, this video will process and post to my channel. So if there's anything you've missed, Terrion or anyone else, just go back and watch it. But I'm not going to recap all of that because there were a number of people on here that already heard me break down Alabama and Texas A&M. I've given that a projection of 45-17 Bama. I think Kansas would beat Nebraska if they played tomorrow. Yeah, Buckeye State Sports remembers that score from about 2014. I believe that was the year 59-0, Alabama. Hate for LSU. Hopefully they are not talking about me. There is no hate for LSU here. I've got LSU ranked #1 in the country. LSU is #1. Ed Ogeron is #1 right now in the country, according to MarkRogersTV. All right. What else do you guys have? Green Man. You need a sidekick who sits there and agrees with you and laughs at all your jokes. Yeah, and actually makes me look funny, and people would think I'm funny even though I'm not funny. And it would just give the illusion that I'm funny. And so then, yeah, when you see other people laughing, then it would cause the viewers to laugh, or just have a laugh track. Yeah. Green Man, I've got an idea of what she should look like too. Believe me. So I did have a show about 3 years ago with a female, and we had a nice little show for about 30 weeks. And that wasn't about college football. That was about all sports, and that was fun. And so that's what I had in mind at the time. And I asked on social media, does anybody have a female co-host that would be really good? And I got a few suggestions, and we did that for about 30 weeks, and then it kind of fell apart. Colin Cowherd can do it. I can do it. All right. All right. So top 25 that makes sense. Check out the video. Give me your suggestions on what I did wrong, what I missed, what I did right. And please listen to the explanation, because many people don't. And they look at the scroll of my top 25 teams and they don't think it makes sense, because they're locked into national groupthink of who the best teams are, and they're not looking at the resumes. My fun video, the bottom 10, let me know if you want to see more of those in the future. This week's schedule is basically wide open. I'm going to be here for sure 7 o'clock Wednesday night, Thursday night at 7. That's Eastern time. Friday night, I will not be here. I will probably release some videos during the day on Friday. We will definitely have our guy Steve Merrill from Pro Sports Info to talk about the Week 4 betting lines. Those are really excellent discussions. And if you have any interest in betting or the process of the Vegas lines and how it all works, and then the look at that week's games, got to join my segment with Steve Merrill. That'll be 11:45 Eastern time on Friday. Nothing on Friday. I know Penn State's playing Illinois and Washington State on USC. I have other engagements on Friday. On Saturday, I won't be around for my kickoff show on Saturday morning, but I will be around for the primetime and late night games on Saturday. And so we will blow it out with our instant analysis on a Saturday night after the primetime games: Oregon, Stanford, Iowa, Wisconsin, and then the late night games from the Mountain West and the Pac-12. So we will see you late Saturday, starting about, maybe we'll do a halftime of the 3:30 games. Maybe we'll do like a 5:30, 6 o'clock to take us into the second half of the big 3:30 games, and then set you up for the primetime games: Oregon, Stanford, And again, Wisconsin, Iowa. Then we'll do post game for the primetime games and the late night games from the West Coast on Saturday. But I've got no guests for this week. Nobody's lined up, but they're going to know when the window is 7 o'clock and 7 o'clock Wednesday and Thursday. And my media guests can join me and we can talk it up. All right, guys, it's about that time that I need to bid adieu. So I appreciate your support. Again, if you shop on Amazon or know anyone who shops on Amazon, or if your significant other is on Amazon, please give them the links. They can shop for whatever they want. They don't need to buy the products that they see displayed. Just buy whatever you typically would, and that will help out Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, as we build this out from the ground up. We will see you at the very latest Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time. In the meantime, I will be working on previews and predictions for this weekend. And who knows, maybe I'll strike up a live stream Tuesday night late. Right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We will see you next time.